Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Frank's Unsolicited Advice. It's been a minute since I got on here, and I've tried to record many of times, and I apologize for my nose being the way it sounds and looking red as it does. But your boy woke up this morning, and all of a sudden, my nose is running and profusely. Like, I don't think I'm sick. I just think it's a sinus thing, and it's been coming down. Um, it's Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve, and I tried to record this episode a few times before, and I just couldn't get the words out. I wasn't, I couldn't get it out. Um, Excuse me, I had a burp. But I'm on the phone on FaceTime with Nikki and Bree, the Frank Presents the Play Call podcast, but they're just not my podcast co-hosts. They're my friends, they're family, they're my Navy family, they're my in a sense, real family blood. Couldn't make us any closer. And June with his family, so we talk about everything. And it's Christmas Eve. And I really don't have any unsolicited advice except listen, appreciate the time that you have with your family and friends because you never know when you're going to have it again. And I say that because this time of the year for me is very difficult. It's difficult because I grew up very close knit to my family. The picture you see in the background is my cousin's building where I spent a lot of my childhood at 526 East 138th Street in the South Bronx. My parents had an apartment there when I was born, and then we later on moved into our house on Creston. But I spent my childhood here in this building where my aunt Elsa, her husband, and my uncle Edwin, my aunt Kana, and Rosa and Billy, friends of the family, and we all just grew up together. Anybody that's been from any kind of hood or neighborhood understands that, uh, you know, we're all family because we all in the same shit together. So I was trying to find an image that would portray what I wanted to relay and convey in this message when I say it. And I couldn't find it. I put South Bronx winners. A lot of pictures came up, but not the one I wanted. And I'm not one about portraying a fake narrative. I didn't spend time in the projects like that. So I didn't want to put up a project building. But I remember that I took this picture when I was recruiting and I was happened to be in the South Bronx for something. And I took the picture and I sent it to my cousin Jumbo. And to be honest, if my technicality skills was better for me to zoom the picture down a little bit, I would have showed you where he wrote Jumbo on the side of the window. And it shows a little bit of history there for our family, right? Because he spray painted it. I think it's still there for some reason. So and to put in perspective, my aunt Elsa and my aunt Ghana lived in the same floor and apartments adjacent to each other, so they shared the fire escape. Well, the reason this picture is important is because this picture will go on to set the tone for what I'm going to speak on in regards to what the Christmas, New Year, Christmas season, holiday season, New Year's means to me. If I get emotional, I apologize, but this is something that's very important to me. And anybody that knows me knows that this time of the year is the most important part to me of the whole entire year. It is because this is where I learned my tradition. This is where I learned what being Puerto Rican was and what some of the culture was, even though I didn't grow up or was born in Puerto Rico. And ironically, I never spent a holiday in Puerto Rico. I went to Puerto Rico many of times, but never spent a Christmas, New Year's in Puerto Rico. So I never got to see it firsthand. I was able to see it because my parents brought it over from the States, from Puerto Rico to the States, and, you know, taught it to me and my sisters and my cousins and everybody else. So bear with me while I take you on this journey and this ride of what I grew up on, right? And I'm going to play a snippet of a song because I don't own the rights to it and I don't want it to get banned by uh you know the Apple, YouTube, whatever, saying, "Oh, you don't own the rights to the song." But this is what we call aguinaldos navideños. This is what I grew up on. But instead of also listening to it on the radio or on 8-track or 12-inch or 45-inch vinyls, um, I heard it with my family playing at live instruments in the household. So here it goes.
por la montaña adentro, a ver si le traigo un recuerdo de allá. Para comenzar, ¿cómo están ustedes, hombres y mujeres y niños en este lugar? Me dejo escuchar, alegre cantando, para ir demostrando que traigo alegría y a mi compañía, bendito 2-4 sonando.
I had to stop it because as I'm listening to this, my eyes are watering because I know what I'm missing. So, as a kid growing up, holiday season happened. We get dressed up in suits. It's Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, and we're at somebody's house. 9 times out of 10, we're coming to my aunt's house here because this is where my aunt Kana lived, my aunt Elsa lived, and my uncle Edwin, my uncle John D lived, and everybody would migrate to my aunt Elsa's house. There's food, there's liquor, there's everything. The kids are playing. We're in the hood. It doesn't matter. Life is grand. Why? Because we don't know no better. We don't know no better. There was no social media, there's no nothing. We just knew what the family told us. So remember, I told you that my parents, my aunt Elsa and my aunt Ghana lived adjacent to each other. I mean, you walk out of one apartment, make a left, you're in the next apartment. So it was not, it wasn't like they lived apart, right next to each other. So while the elders or the older heads would turn up, we was be in one house watching TV. But until that happened, we would be all together. You had people playing the 4-string guitar, the regular guitar, maracas, guido, congas, all that stuff to sing these songs that you just heard. And the Christmas carols, but for us, they were aguinaldos, not, and I didn't know no better. There wasn't like your silent night, holy night, or the drummer boy or whatever. It was our culture. It was cold. It was snowing outside. We're in suits. There's food. There's drinks. There's family. There's love. There's caring. There's emotions. There's everything. And then the hammer drops. And when I say that is that somebody gets the bright idea saying, "Hey, let's drive to Brooklyn and go visit Misael and Marina." Now, Misael is my father's cousin. Marina was his wife. They lived in Brooklyn, Kings County. I don't know where. It's some projects. I just know that every winter or holiday, that's where we're going. We're going to end up there, either Christmas Eve night or New Year's night. We're there, and we're going to be there all night. So we'll get in our cars. Drinking and driving was not a thing then, I guess. Nobody cared. And we would get in the cars and we'll go to Brooklyn. And when we get to Brooklyn, they wouldn't knock on the door until they had their coats off and everybody set up and you heard an aguinaldo playing. And it's like they're freestyling it. They saying, "Misa, we're here to bring you this." In Puerto Rico, in the culture, that's called a parranda. And that's when we go door to door and we celebrate. We do our thing. But we saw that growing up. So even though I didn't grow up in Puerto Rico, and even though I didn't live in Puerto Rico, I was able to experience that experience here in New York, in America, because my parents brought the culture over. So it didn't matter whether I was born in Puerto Rico or not, because of them, I was able to, enjoy the culture. And that's why this season's so important to me. We get so wrapped up on the gift giving and what did we buy and what did we get? And I'm going to share something with you. There was a time in my life where my family was doing okay. My father was a jeweler. My mom was working. My uncles worked as chefs. My aunt was selling drugs. There were pharmaceutical distributors. Not my whole family, just my aunt. And my father's a jeweler, like I said. My uncle Jose was a jeweler with him. My uncle John D and Theo Edwin were cooks downtown. So money was flowing at that time. So Christmas at one point was good. We would get great gifts. But unfortunately, things happened and things weren't the same no more. And we became, money wasn't the same and we had to change. And now that's where the culture kicks in, because with the culture, you get to experience something different. It's no longer about the gifts or what you can buy me or what you're giving me. It's about what you're teaching me and showing me. And man, I got to tell you that there's not a year that doesn't go by that I don't feel the way I feel today. Well, I miss that. I wish my kids could experience that. I wish my kids and my wife, who's Panamanian, could experience some of that culture because it's what makes us great. So the message today is not really so much about, hey, Christmas, gift giving, you get a Birkin, you get red shoes, red bottoms, you get a cell phone, you get an iPad, none of that. The message today is about what the tradition teaches. The most thing I take away in that time frame is not the gifts I got, which in that time frame, in the 80s, I did get the first Nintendo with the gyro robot. People don't know about that. 1985. I got a Lamborghini remote control car that was not connected to the remote control. Okay. I had certain toys and certain things that my family worked for to give me that were, at the time, state of the art. Commodore 64s, Atari 2600s, ColecoVision, all that stuff. If you don't know it for these youth today, go Google it. You're going to know. But today, that's the equivalent of a PS5 and an Xbox Series X1 or whatever it is now, and a nice computer. That was then. A Voltron, the full metal Voltron, which was expensive as hell. Every G.I. Joe toy there was, known to man. He-Man with the gray skull with the microphone you talking. Thundercats with the sword and the machine and the car and everything that goes with it. I got it. You name it. My parents worked hard to get it. We weren't rich, but they did enough to give me what I wanted and needed at times. But I remember the culture. I remember getting dressed up in a suit that my mom would sew. My mom would sew this suit. People don't know this, but my mom would sew my suits. She would go by the pattern at the store, by the fabric, and she would sew with a sewing machine my suits when I was younger. My Halloween outfits as well. She did it for my sister. I think she did it for Sharice. I think she did it for Frankie too. That's what my mom did. And that's what we did. And that's what I remember. So around this time of the year, I don't think about the gifts. I don't think about, man, I had a Nintendo, or I had the first Genesis ever where you had a card you slip in, or I had this, I had that. What I remember the most out of all those gifts was the time spent with my family. The fact that me and my cousins went out a lot, were few, but we were always together. How we would get dressed up and hang out and see our family sing and play the instruments and teach us about our culture that, if in other places would be forgotten. I was blessed to have that. And that's why I miss my culture today. So I guess my message to you, my unsolicited advice today, is to remember that Christmas is not about the gifts that's given. Yes, Jesus was born on Christmas Day. If we're going to get religious, I'll be here for another 30, 45, 50 minutes to teach that side of the house. But I'm here to teach about the culture. I was very, very blessed to always have my parents and my family there and enjoy the holidays when I was younger. Obviously, when I joined the Navy, that changed, and now my family became the Navy, and we shared cultures. I learned from people from Alabama, from Mississippi, from Louisiana, from Atlanta, from Alaska, and all parts of the world. The cultures came together, and that's another story for another time. But today, I am here to teach you and tell you to enjoy what you have, remember what you have, and if you didn't have it growing up, change it when you get older. The holidays for me is not about the gifts, man. It's not. It's not. The biggest gift for me on the holidays is being with my family. And I miss them. And they're in New York now, my sister celebrating. And I'm here in Virginia, but it got me on this microphone today to talk and get it off my chest that you have to appreciate the stuff we can't touch in the holidays, the stuff that we can't put a price on, the stuff that we can't what's I'm looking for? Put a price on. You can't touch it because it's timeless. and it's priceless. So from me to you and all my listeners and followers, my unsolicited advice today is enjoy the holidays. Make the memories, make them last. Teach your kids the culture, whatever culture that may be. Because when they get older, that's what they're going to take with them, is what you taught them. And sometimes Christmas is not about what we give in the physical, in the tangible form, but it's what we give in the intangible forms and what we leave behind. From my family to yours, Merry Christmas. If I don't record before the New Year's over, Happy New Year's. But remember, not all gifts are tangible. This is Frank's unsolicited advice. Merry Christmas.